Hey folks, thanks for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. Grab a seat on my big orange couch. I just purchased it today. I think you guys all get a kick out of looking at it. And I think you guys will enjoy. I had to replace it. It's a little burnt orange, but I think you guys will get the joke. All right, getting on with it. Today I have a special treat for you. Hanging out at Kaiser's Castle as you grab yourself your coffee, tea, soda, and or a libation. And you take a seat at that big orange couch as you just theater of the mind as you meet a man who I like to call Uncle Pat. And his name's Patrick Momini. And awesome dude, inventor, creator of spices for meats, both rubs and other things. He can get into that. And with that being said, I'd like to throw up his homepage of his spices right now so you guys can look at it. And how you doing today there, Uncle Pat? You doing well?
I'm doing great. Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It warmed up. It's like 16 degrees. Awesome.
Heck yeah, it's gotten up to 20 today, so where I'm at. So, yeah, why don't you tell everybody a little bit of background story since they might not have heard you on my radio program, Castle Talk Radio on PSN Radio Network, since this is my YouTube channel and I can actually show them some of your stuff.
Oh, cool. Cool. Well, I'm a guy, a simple guy that has a knack for food. And back in my father passed away, I think in '07, '06 or '07, and he was a vet. We were raised in Germany. We spent a lot of time in Europe. And he passed away in December, right before Christmas. And then that following February, I decided, well, I'm going to go back to Landstuhl, Germany, and start barbecuing for the wounded there. And I went to the Fisher House. They were gracious because I just showed up basically, didn't know there was all this protocol you're supposed to do. And Kathy there, the manager of the Fisher House, which I swear she ran the whole post. Um, got me approved, got me to be able to come in, and that's where it all started. The following, uh, let's see, the following, I think it was the summer, uh, either summer or winter, I can't remember. But anyway, I started going to the USO Warrior Center and doing the same thing, and actually getting the people from the hospital. Did that for 4 years, funded it myself twice a year. And I've been doing nonprofit stuff ever since. I can't seem to get away from it. Um, and I've won awards. I did competitions to raise money to go overseas and won a few shekels here and there. And then it's just progressed. And now I have I smoke one day a week up here in Anchorage. And I also started, well, will be opening, is kind of a soft opening now on my spice store. It's called tattoospice.com. It's a Shopify store, starting to sell all this award-winning rubs and condiments that I've been using all these years. So if you get me started talking on barbecue, probably will never shut up.
Well,
Um,
that's good.
and
We can talk about Tattoo Spice for a second. The Tattoo Spice Company, now, folks, that is TATU. For the military folks out there, it's Tango Alpha Tango Uniform Spice Company. It's not like a tattoo on your arm. It's a TATU, like tattoo. All right? And he's got his enigmatic image, which you'll see here later after we're done talking about spice. And that's his trademarked thing. And just go on into some of the flavors you like to use and how you prepare your rubs, because we had a really good time talking about that on the last show.
yeah, well, I'll do a real quick thing on how the how I got the name tattoo, spelled TATU, and I'll make it really quick because it's a long historical story, but it's pronounced tatau in Polynesian, Polynesian cultures, and it means sounding sticks. And that's where the actual spelling and the word tattoo came from through the pirates, as they cruised around. And so I spelled, excuse me, I spelled it TATU because, no one's going to really come to a barbecue place that spells it the traditional Western way. Um, so anyway, that's the name. The spices. I also teach classes. I'm going to start them up here again in Anchor. I've been studying food. I've been into food since I was 10 years old, and really studying it probably the last 20, 25 years, just the history and all about food. And my rubs and sauces have what's called umami in them. And I was also training as a French sous chef. And the French, they build flavors. They layer flavors, and that's what my rubs are based on, is layering flavors. So when you put it on, you can put it on pork. I make one specific for beef. I do a brisket rub, and I won awards, first place in beef. And I have a chicken spice rub that I use, and it's all based on this understanding of uh, uh, the ingredients. I mean, if you really, really want to enjoy food, any type of food, is to understand it. And that's so many times people eat food unconsciously. They just shove it in their mouth, chew it, swallow it, and go, oh, that was good. Well, if you eat it more consciously and start to understand what that food, first of all, that food's giving you life. So you probably should respect it a little bit anyway. And as you understand it more, you will really you'll be able to get the true essence of what's happening. And that's what this barbecue does. Barbecue is by far the hardest um, technique of cooking that I've ever been involved in, because there's so many varieties that come into play. And to perfect it, you really have to work at it to get it going right. And yeah, maybe we'll do a class here on the show sometime, question and answer class, because that would be good. But so anyway, the spices themselves, every ingredient that is in there for a specific purpose, not just, oh, I think this will taste good, this will taste. No, everyone is there, and they've taken considerable time, especially the rub that I used to win most of the awards. I call it the award-winning rub, and I'll guarantee anybody, you put this rub on whatever you're cooking. I wouldn't grill necessarily with it, and if you did grill with it, put it on very sparingly, uh, because it's meant for low and slow. I actually make a steak spice that's meant for a little hotter, grilling to do it. But when I guarantee you put this on, and you'll notice the difference in the food. And if you don't, send me back, as long as it's not half used. Send it back to me, and I refund your money. I mean, I have no problem doing that. But yeah, just check out when you get to the store. Check it out. It's in process now. It's kind of a soft opening. I'm putting up some better photos. Just did a photo shoot yesterday. So yeah, check it out. And boy, if you have any questions, you can go to TATUBBQ@gmail, and send them to me. I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, and if we're going to do a show with questions and answers, either send it to him and he'll forward the questions to me, or you can actually leave them in the comments when you like, comment, and share this video on YouTube or all the other social medias. Um, but yeah, in all honesty, get the questions to us, one of us or the other, and that way we can be more interactive since YouTube's banned my ability to go live. And but one thing I will say is I've gotten rub from Uncle Pat before, and Uncle Pat has these bags of nuts. He called them Uncle Pat's hot nuts, and they were actually spicy nuts, and really good. And he also sent me some rub. And what I did with it on ham, I discovered this was nice, low and slow. You can tell me your thoughts on why, because it sounds weird. You mess up one hand when you're rubbing on the mustard. We're talking just regular yellow stadium mustard. And then I put the rub all over it, wrapped it in foil and low and slow. It seems the mustard flavor didn't get in. But what was unique, I think, the mustard made a barrier or something so that you didn't leak out all the juices. It was the most juicy, tender ham I've ever put in low and slow. Your thoughts on why that might have worked so well?
Well, first of all, I would use my sauce that I make. And I only say that because, again, it's made specifically for, I actually developed my mustard sauce for pork in doing that.
Cool.
Putting the yellow mustard on, it is a bit thick, and and uh, and getting it to penetrate. Yeah, I'm not sure that it would. And if you actually want, I'll tell you, if you actually want it to penetrate, you could actually, well, hams, you can score the fat on them, and then it'll get through that fat layer.
Yeah, I did that.
Uh,
I did that.
yeah,
But I'm saying
yeah.
the mustard, I didn't get the flavor of the mustard, nor did I expect I would, but I thought maybe it could.
Oh, you should, you should. Uh,
Yeah,
and I'll tell you
but I did
with
get
my
the flavor
mustard.
of the spices though. That was my
Yeah. Oh,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, they'll always come through, um, and especially with pork, I'll tell you. I mean, I have people using my mustard sauce for salad dressing, and I'm
Wow.
finding out I have this chicken white sauce that's offshoot from the Alabama white sauce, completely different. I make it, but I'm finding out people are using that for dipping a dipping sauce. They're using it for veggies. The vegetarians are loving it. The mustard sauce is it's a Carolina, so it's a little thinner. It's got more vinegar and spice, but you do your pulled pork, and I mean, here somebody wants to test. You can go out and smoke a pulled pork, and I'll describe how you test it. Um, and don't put anything on it. Just do a pulled pork, nothing on it. Just use like some sweet wood or something like apples. Applewood's good to do that. Pull it, and it'll pull. Um, and then throw on some of the mustard sauce to it, and then mix that up inside, but not too much, because you don't want ever do you want to disrespect the food by covering it, especially with sweet sauce. And, people love that stuff. You want to taste the food. I mean, damn pork gave up his life for us. We might as well treat him right. Uh, for and so, but yeah, so you can try that stuff. Uh, but I just stay away from commercially sweet and thick, and I call them barbecue syrups, because they really don't do justice to the meat itself, to that living thing that's giving us life. Let's
I agree.
you know
I can't
coat it with.
stand sweet sauces. If it has a
Yeah,
little heat, I'm good with it. But if it's syrupy and sweet, I've got no use for it. Um,
yeah.
Now, I do want to know something. Here's a question for you. Leg of lamb, which I have one, it's been deep frozen, and I was going to prepare that here next month probably. And what would be a good spice combination? Well, normally I use the same guy who makes Touch of Heat. It's Rufus Teague's made some sauce, and the other one is Rufus Teague's made some rub. When I don't have your rub or sauce, that's what I'll use. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't think that'll be a good fit for that. But do you have a suggestion on a spice to take? You know, how lamb has that sort of lamby flavor, and I really can't stand. Everybody likes to use uh, lime jelly or Jello or whatever it is. I can't
Right,
stand that.
right,
Yeah. So you got any
right.
thoughts on that one?
You know what I would do, even if if you have anybody's rub, I know it would work with our award-winning rub, but I would get online and get some powdered mint, and I'd mix a little bit of powdered mint inside the award-winning rub. Um, and I don't have the portions, you know, uh, which actually makes me think I might just start making one for lamb like that, and use that and let that mint flavor, uh, meld with that lamb, and it should do just fine with that.
Yeah, I have some mint that we pulled out. We grew it out, and it naturally grew when we moved into the house. We had
Hmm.
mint growing out in our garden, and one
Hmm.
day we're out there walking around after we planted the buckeye tree out back. And when we first moved into this house 5 years ago, um, anyways, we smelt this mint. And my wife goes, "Oh, mint." And so every year we get it, we dry it, and
Oh,
powder it up
there
in
you
a
go.
mortar and pestle. So I can do that.
Yeah,
I'm glad you
yeah,
mentioned that to me. Um,
yeah.
so why don't we talk about your invention, since we've got little time, today. Uh, this is his invention. It's called the Weber. It's a kettle grill add-on for a
Right.
Weber grill. I'm sorry, I'm messing up the pronunciation, but it's
No.
called the Turbo Grill, and you add it on, and basically the heat makes it turn, and so you won't have any burn spots. No, you don't have to worry about hot spots. And
Yeah.
I have a picture of it all alone in the mountainside, so it's portable. And why don't you go ahead and explain a little bit about your uh, invention, because it's
So
really cool.
that thing is we haven't brought it to market yet, for a number of different reasons. But I tell you, that thing's phenomenal. And it comes from my understanding. I taught myself laser optics and laser physics, so I can do some other stuff and thermodynamics, and it works on the same principle as a rotisserie. It's basically a horizontal, or not a, yeah, horizontal uh, rotisserie, or vertical, because the grill itself rotates, and it uses thermodynamics. You put coals on one half of the grill, and the other half doesn't have any, and so your food rotates around, and it goes in hot spots, out, in hot, out, and it's the same uh, principle too as large commercial cookers. Of you ever wonder, you get a already cooked burger, let's say, and it comes out with these marks on it. Well, these marks, basically, it's the same principle. It goes over hot spots to get the mark, and then it goes over cool spots, and so it doesn't burn. I mean, even if you have a flare up, it doesn't stay in that flare up long enough to burn. So it eliminates, trying to squirt it. People now are getting what do you call it, ingenious about, oh, well, if you have a flare up, let's squirt it with beer, thinking that that's really gonna, do something. No, the thing is, get rid of the freaking flare up, and that's what this turbo grill does. And there's what is it, turbogrill.us. And there's a number of different uh, videos on how it works, and then also on what the product looks like and what it does. I mean, one of these days we'll get it out to market. I just
Yeah,
don't have the time.
you had a couple prototypes. I have them pictured for people to look at,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it shows you can use it in city or in countryside. So pretty much, I think everywhere you've been since you invented it. I remember when you did that. That was what, 2017, 16, something like that. And you got the patent on
Yeah,
it.
what is it?
Yeah.
Or yeah, somewhere. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say 16, 17. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we also have a camping one. It's a little version that comes with a roll-up grill that you can put in your backpack. And geez, I don't know what it weighs. It's got to be less than a pound, I think, or a pound and a half. And you can make your little fire when you're cooking, and there you go. You get to rotate your food. You don't have, nice thing, you don't have to sit there and keep flipping it, because every time, let's say you take a steak, you flip it, you flip it, you flip it, you're moving it. Every time you're doing that, you're actually degrading the meat. And in fish, you can't. You can't keep flipping it over and stuff. In this, there's those videos of it working on some sockeye that I caught up here, and what was the other one? Oh, brown cod, some ling cod, and it's phenomenal on how juicy. There's a one on chicken too that if you turn up your volume and you play that, you'll hear how crispy that chicken skin is, and then you see inside and how juicy it is, and it's pretty darn hard to do that manually, without this technique to it.
Oh, I agree. I learned how to barbecue in my, what, 30s, I guess. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought I knew how to do it. No, I was either, from the different times, I was either over flipping or burning my stuff up. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not even a joke. I wish it was.
Oh no,
And
you're not alone.
and a guy who lived next to me, Scott, we would get together for barbecues and stuff. Our neighbors do. We all do this every year. And anyways, Scott was like, "Why you keep flipping your meat? You flip it one time, give it a quarter turn or a half turn, and then you do the same thing on the other side. You sear it in, and then you just low and slow." And my wife hates it because if I'm putting meat on the grill, she can count that it's going to be 4 to 5 hours till we're eating. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't thaw it out in just enough time, and it's a little late when we eat when I grill. So, but I
Yeah,
just love it. But you do have to
yeah,
pay
yeah.
attention to it. I have to, because I don't have a turbo grill. I have to make one hot area and be able to move everything on and off the hot. You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
let me just butt right in here and tell you that we also have spinners, which I haven't advertised or anything, but uh, we've made spinners that adapt onto the grill, the Weber, and you set your grill on top, and you basically can take your little pinky finger and just spin it, and it spins around, and it's, there's nothing hard about it. And that's the manual version of the turbo grill. You can just sit
Nice.
there, and yeah, and you just spin it, and it's relatively inexpensive. I can't remember what the price was on doing those, but again, it's because we've had people, oh, I'll go make one. Well, good luck, because there's you got to buy some really high temp um, ceramic uh, type bearings to make it work. So good luck in doing that. You'll pay more for just buying those things one at a time than you ever would. And then you have to, it's people always tell me, oh, I can make one. It's like, good, go right ahead, knock yourself out. You know.
Yep, I get it. I get it. It looks super
Yeah.
easy, but even I know by developing the time, energy, and money you'd spend, it's got to be way more than whatever that would be
Oh,
priced at.
it always is. That's what's funny is, and that's the trick of designing stuff is make it look really easy. It's like we did the the very first vinyl cutter in 1986. There was a wide format vinyl cutter that would cut out the logos and all sorts of stuff. And my brother headed up the design of it, and I took over and did the marketing and the R&D of it mostly. And that was in '86. So every time you see a vinyl sign, yeah, think about little Mr. Patrick here
Yep.
doing that. And you look at them now, and they're relatively simple. I mean, they're easy to use, but they are not simple.
Right. My wife has
So,
something she uses for, she does like cards and different things
oh yeah,
and
yep,
puts stuff on glasses. Well, you saw the glass she made me for
yep,
Christmas.
yep,
Well, that's called a cricket that she made that
yep,
with, and
yep,
that's what you did. You made
yep,
that possible for
yep.
women folk to buy that for however many dollars they like to spend of the money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's so much cheaper now to buy a cricket and it's even lasers now. I mean, I that was the other thing that I did. I patents on lasers and the using and worked with NASA and blah blah blah. And even lasers now are so much more inexpensive than when I was selling systems. Uh, and so, but you still have to, it just depends on what you're looking at. But dang, you can get a laser to do engraving and cutting of, thin materials. You won't get it to cut like a vinyl off of it because one of the things that their patent had was to control the power of the beam in relations to its speed. And so, you can set it to cut just the vinyl, but not the paper carrier. But without that modulation, when it slowed down for the curves, you'd cut through the paper and stuff. And so, but now you can get a system to do it for $200-300, you know, and it's just progress.
Oh yeah,
So,
just like the ladder logic of when I was working at the manufacturing place for well the when I was fabricating steel for that little bit back then. Me and you were talking. We had it was laser controlled and used ladder logic to cut it, but for thick steel. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I actually made a couple things on it, and so it's pretty nifty stuff. I mean, this stuff transcended just vinyl. You were a maverick or a forerunner of all that kind of
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
which is pretty cool.
yeah. I've been written up in papers, and the Signs of the Times did articles on because we basically that thing just changed the whole way of doing manufacturing signs. And so, but and maybe who knows what'll happen with the turbo grill. It'd be great, to get people to not burn their food and not have to, open up, the lid and all of a sudden, holy shit. You got this big fire.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll give you a little tip though. For fires, use baking soda. Go to Costco, buy a 13-pound bag of baking soda, and I've had some major pork fat fires, and you just take a handful, whatever it takes, throw it right onto the coals. It'll put it out, and it won't ruin your food. You can just sit there. You can brush off the baking soda. You can, leave it on and finish cooking it and stuff. But if you lift up your grill and there's a big fire, don't use, well, I can't really say don't use a fire extinguisher. But if that's all you have, then just know you're going to just mess everything up. It'll take you hours and hours to clean. But if you have baking soda right next there, just throw that on there and it'll go right away, and you got a pretty quick cleanup, and close it and finish cooking.
Yep, the baking soda will help absorb the grease and keep it from dripping into the flame.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we were talking about that would have been handy when and I told everybody the recipe on the radio show, and so it's not going to be any different if I say it on my own YouTube. Something called the pork explosion. 3 pounds of ground pork. Use lots of Tony Chachere's. I like the hot, not the mild. And you blend it in there. If you want, you can put some onion or pepper, whatever you want to put in the meat. Just make a loaf out of it. And while before you do all that, you get 2 pounds of bacon, and you lattice work it together. And if you want to know what a lattice work is, it's weaving the bacon together to make like a fencing, a lattice.
Mm-hmm.
And you wrap it. Use a couple toothpicks. Make sure they're colored or something that you can actually see them to withdraw them, so you don't accidentally bite into them. And wrap the bacon around it. Then wrap it in tinfoil, about 3 or 4 layers of tinfoil, and then smoke it low and slow. And you end up with a really nice loaf. And it's got a good consistency. And I use peppered flavored bacon, but that's a simple recipe anybody can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if you wrap it before it's smoked, then I just put it on the low and slow oven, because the smoke isn't going to get through that foil. What you can do though is you can put it on a rack, and then put it in a grill and have it, set it up for smoking, or put it in a smoker and just smoke it for maybe an hour or two, just to get that smoke. Then wrap it up. Um, and
That makes
and
sense. So have it in a pan
Yeah, yeah,
so that the grease
on
doesn't
a
start a
rack.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
got you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, and then wrap it up, and then you'll have, when that smoke, the 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 uh, the smoke has nowhere to go. That flavor has nowhere to go when it's wrapped, so it goes back into the meat, and just finish it like that, and it'll come out like just like it'd been on the smoker, for hours.
that sounds good. I will do that. Thanks for the tip. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Sure.
People helping people, folks. You heard Uncle Pat
Yeah.
correct me on my cooking technique. So there we go. Hey, that's honestly how you make
Well,
accidental
that's
discoveries, right?
yeah, yeah, and that's just, I for whatever reason, I just I understand cooking, and answers and things come to me, and it's not from intellect, believe me. It's not like I sat down and read a book, and everybody's, has different knowledge that, the more we can share our knowledge with people, and not share intellect, believe me, but share knowledge. And knowledge is basically whatever you experience becomes knowledge. You can read something in a book, but that's not knowledge because you haven't experienced it. You just believe in what the heck somebody else said, you know. And so until you do it, but yeah, we just share knowledge, and you've helped a lot on the on the other end of things that I'm interested in.
Yeah, no, it's
So,
always it's
yeah.
that's the whole thing. You're exactly right. Institutional knowledge. That's one thing when you're working inside institutions, uh, and it's also uh, your lived experience of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I agree with that fully. And I'm of the old school thought process because of my mentors and being a mentor myself.
Hmm.
That what you do is you pass knowledge over to people. Let's say it's on leadership, okay? Now, a lot of people say, well, leadership's all about leading men. That's the purpose of it. No. The true purpose of it is to make other people become leaders and be
Hmm.
better than you are. So whenever I see somebody, because luckily my mentors were like this with me, uh, whenever I see somebody trying to hold back knowledge from somebody, I understand it if they're not ready for it yet. There is certain points, but the fact remains if somebody needs it at this point and you know they need it, you pass it to them. You don't set them up for failure. Failure is a good lesson learned kind of thing, but it's never a good idea because what that starts to do is cause distrust between the mentor
Yeah.
and mentee, and then so you're just going to queer the entire function of being a mentor up when the point is to
Mhm.
make him better than you. You know, you
Right.
want to see your mentee shine. You don't
Well,
want to see him fail.
a lot of people don't quote mentors, uh, don't want that because of ego. They, it's like, oh, no matter what, you got to listen to me, blah blah blah, and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I think a really good mentor. We were kind of getting off here, but a really good mentor doesn't really have an ego. It's just, here I'm
I
doing this, and off
I
you go.
I get what you say, but I think there's a fair amount of just because of that specific thing we're talking about. Everybody has a certain amount of ego, but I think
Hmm.
it's more they let their ego out. I.e., every mentor I've had has been consistent, and I guess maybe I picked them correctly. They were like, I'll give you everything I can until I think that I can't give you anymore or you're not receptive to it. And then, without me worrying about it, you'll go find another mentor. And
Hmm.
then maybe you'll get something from him. Or if you don't think I'm giving you what you need, go
Oh,
find
then
another
definitely
mentor.
go find a different. Yeah,
Yeah, go find another
absolutely.
one. But
Yeah,
I've never shut the door on a mentor or a
right,
mentee because everybody's
right.
going to live their lives. And then I can honestly say I know everybody from my first mentor to my last. And I still talk to them. Luckily, knock wood, they're all still alive today. And they're in their 80s. Can you believe that, Uncle Pat? So, I mean, it's amazing
We
to
don't
me.
talk age.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, no, it's really cool though. I mean, to think about
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and I'm sure it's the same way in cooking. I mean, you
Oh,
didn't,
it's
yeah.
for me. It's exactly the same. That's why I do these classes and stuff. It's not to show anybody. Oh, I know all this stuff. No, it's like, man, my desire is to help people understand food and create the best that they can create with that food. And that's it. And I don't care what people think about me or anything, uh, but you know, I'll share things, and especially in private, I'll share things that I won't share publicly, not yet, anyway. And
I
that's
get it.
why, ask questions. That's why I tell people, send questions, ask questions. I would love to share my experiences, because my experiences, I know that's true. That's truth, because I've experienced it. I mean, it isn't like here's a perfect example. They, say, well, you put your steak, set your oven to medium high or medium, and you put your steak on a cast iron or what, and you cook it for 3 minutes and then you flip it. That's bullshit. Oh, excuse me. That's BS.
No, you can say it. We're on my YouTube, so you can curse all you want. It's
Okay.
good.
Well, the reason is A, every pan heats different. B, every especially electric stoves, medium is a different temperature on everything. So you can't tell somebody, hey, go do it on medium. What I tell people is, you figure out, you know, and I've done this for when I go to a stove, put a pan in there, and then you put your hand, let it heat up to whatever. Let's say you put it on medium temp, and let it heat up to whatever it is, and then put your hand. Don't touch the darn thing, but put your hand over it, and depending on how many inches away you can stand it, that's a certain temperature. Then you cook, right? And then you're going, wow, at this temperature, when it's like this, it cooks too fast or it doesn't cook enough. And then so every time you go somewhere, no matter where you're cooking, use that hand and it will tell you what that temperature is, not what the dial says. And you
Yep,
will cook consistently all the time.
I agree.
And so
It's just like
yeah,
testing bath water with your elbow.
yeah,
So yeah, I get it,
yeah,
man. It makes perfect
you know,
sense.
yeah. And so those are the things that I want to pass along, is just, and make it enjoyable. Make cooking, I mean, I hear some, oh, it's just so arduous and stuff. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. And that's where I'm cooking now. We have a grab and go cooler. So I do some chicken or ribs or brisket or burnt pork belly or whatever. And I vacuum pack it and put it in the cooler and say, look, here, it's done. You know what it's like if you come and eating it. So, and if you don't want to cook, then come and pick this up, or it just,
Yep.
uh, you just have to enjoy food and enjoy that animal that gave it to us.
I
You
was
know,
told this by somebody, and I've used this method, and I love it because I found that it makes the meat better. I don't know how, uh, but I was cooking once, and I took it right out of the freezer,
hmm
and let it thaw a little bit, but it was still cold. I was having to pull the patties apart. If I'm cooking burgers now,
right,
and
right.
have to pull them apart because they're still frozen together. And this dude was put it on a plate, man. Leave it alone for a while. And I'm like, well, we can't let it get too warm. He goes, no, let it get to about room temperature, then cook it.
Yep.
And I will tell you that meat was the best meat I've ever tender. I guess the fibers start to loosen up, probably because there's some sort of, it's starting to decay a little bit because it's at room temperature. Something happens to the meat and it actually becomes more flavorful. I mean, I'm not
hmm
saying leave it out in the sun to where it gets hot like the sun, but a room temperature, 60 degrees or so, 40, 50,
Well, you
60
have
degrees.
the health standard is you have 4 hours to eat it, to get it up. I mean, you have 2 hours to get it from whatever you do to when you cook it. There's this heat zone in there that 40 degrees to, I think, 40 to 140 or something is the dead zone, and you don't want to store meat at that. But to cook it, it'll pass through there. So yeah, you pull it a little bit, and cook it. It's fine. You can also put it on just frozen. And what's real interesting with that, like I like my steaks when I eat them, is charred rare. Well, if it's maybe not completely frozen, but if it is frozen, put it on there and you get that char going, and it's going to be rare on the inside, to
Nice.
whatever temp
I
you,
get it.
you, you
Yeah.
want.
That
Yeah.
sounds
And
good.
if you do charred rare, make sure you baste it with butter, because that's where you get that really nice char. That's what they do in the restaurants to get that nice
Pro
char
tip.
to it.
Pro tip
Yeah.
right there. Butter
Yeah.
on it and char it up. Yeah, that's a pro
Yep.
tip.
Yeah. So,
That's
but
good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. No, I sometimes I wonder. I must have just my whole life just absorbed food stuff. Food understanding. and not even know it. And when I start talking, all this stuff just starts coming out. It surprises myself.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I look at life like cooking, and I mean that. This is the way I live my life. I love to cook more than I love to eat.
Oh, right,
And
right.
I may have a gut, but it's from a beer. It's from beer. It's not from anything else. And
Right.
but the I always ask anybody I'm cooking for, how was it? And I want genuine input, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, exactly.
And and then if it's good input or bad input, I'm happy either way because I've learned something.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's kind of how life is. Life
Yeah.
is more about the work you're doing than your payment.
Yep.
I.e., are you getting positive feedback from the people who matter and negative feedback from people who don't matter? Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that all day long. But
Yeah.
if you're getting negative from both, then there's a problem there. You need to be a little introspective. And the
hmm
same thing if you're getting positive from both. That
Yeah.
can be a problem too. So, you
Oh,
know,
yeah. Especially family. Like I asked my son. He's one of my tasters, um, because he's so blunt with me. You know, he's. I mean, if I mess up or do something, he lets me know. There's, there was no holding back from him giving me his opinion. But it's an honest opinion. He doesn't say it out of malice at all. So I understand that, and that's the type of people I have right now. Maybe a half dozen people that when I make a recipe or something, I'll send it out to them, and they give me honest feedback. You know, because if you don't get honest, a lot of times family members they want to be nice and they'll tell you, oh yeah, it tastes good. Then they go around the corner and spit it out, stuff. And so you're right. It's you just have to be honest, and if you don't have an ego, geez, being honest is great because it doesn't bother you. You
exactly.
know.
It's like people can say what they want about anybody, but the point is, if you take most of your critics seriously, you know you're probably not mentally well. Uh, but
Well, you have to look at their agenda for their
exactly,
critique. you know,
exactly.
and so many, and that's where the ego comes in. That's what I was saying earlier. Is there's people have all these agendas, their egos, and they voice that, and so you just find people that, and boy, you can tell. You can go up to somebody and talk to them for 2 3 sentences, and you can tell where his ego's at and where you should listen to him
Yeah,
and all.
I've gotten real good at telling somebody who's telling tales or somebody who's scheming, got some sort of scam going on.
Yeah, yeah,
I can smell it like a fart in a car with the windows rolled up. You know, it just it reeks. You know,
yeah. Oh
and
yeah,
same
no,
thing with ass kissers. I can't stand ass
yeah.
kissers. It's stupid.
It's in their energy. It's in their body. I mean, they can't help but that. All people have to do is be conscious of it, and they'll feel it. They'll
Oh yeah,
know. It's just, but
it's
yeah,
cosmic. Yeah.
yeah, it is. That's exactly. Well, damn, that's all we are is cosmic.
Yeah, what's that old song by I can't even remember the name of the band, but all we are is dust in the wind, ELO
Oh
or
yeah,
something like that. I can't remember the band's
yeah.
name.
God, who is that? Dust in the wind. Is that not America?
Kansas. All we
Is
are
that?
is dust in the wind. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? That brings up. What did you do with that money?
With what?
That money,
Money on.
the money your mom gave you for singing lessons.
Oh, it went nowhere, man.
Sorry.
Can't you tell? I mean, there was. I used that on I don't know beer. Uh, my
Yeah, I'm
mother, yeah,
sorry.
she
It's just,
same place my guitar lesson money went.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's always fun talking with you.
Yeah, it's just this is all my shows are ever about, are just me bringing people that I find interesting on, that I think other people will enjoy listening to,
Yeah.
good people that I believe are honest, and that have always given me sage advice, and I've always tried to
Yeah.
reciprocate in kind, and I
Yeah.
think people get more out of that than some page trying to shine them on, and especially during these times, we both know
Oh,
this is
yeah.
going to be shit times. Uh, Listen, folks, the positivity is soft times create soft people, which we've seen. And now, when the hard times come, that'll create harder people. And that's not a bad thing either. And
Yeah.
fortunately,
Yeah.
even during the soft times, I've been blessed with hard men that lived in hard times that taught me how to be a man.
Right.
And I push that all the time with everybody. If you're looking for somebody who owes you something, go somewhere else. I don't know you, fuck
Yeah.
all. Uncle Pat doesn't owe you, fuck all. And nobody I know owes you, fuck all. So find somebody else if you want smoke blown up your ass. I'm not going to piss on your leg and tell you it's raining.
Exactly. It's just, let's just, and have a barbecue. I tell you, man, you talk about, and that barbecue works is because historically barbecue was family getting together and enjoying food. Uh, and and that's what it does. And so, man, if things are getting weird or something, man, just have a barbecue and tell people can't talk about this. Let's just enjoy some food and play lawn darts or something.
Yep. Every
Yeah.
after every election, the people that I may disagree with, they know I'm like this. One time, a gentleman goes, he's a friend of mine here locally, bonfire type friends, get together with
Oh
him.
yeah.
Super on the other side of me, and he goes, Trump's a fascist. And I go, well, then I guess I'm a fascist. So what, man? I said, you and I have been friends X amount of years. I come to find out later he was friends with my uncle and didn't even know I was his nephew, my uncle's nephew.
Oh.
And my uncle was left of me too. And
Mhm.
it was super funny because I said, okay, we've been friends for this long and we talk about bicycles. So we talk about bicycles, not the president, bro. And we've never had an issue
Yeah.
after that. And he
Yeah.
served in the army. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing, man. You can't. We've allowed
No, it
this to.
doesn't. It doesn't really matter. I mean, in my stage here, I really don't care. The only thing I am stopping to listen to is the if then this might. You listen to especially news or people talk. Well, this might happen, or this may happen, or if you do this, it could happen. You know what? I don't want to hear could. I want to experience.
You're
Because
the only thing that 50 plus years have given me the knowledge on is two things. One, how little I know, even though I thought I
yeah,
knew a lot in my youth. And the
that's a
second,
good thing.
and the second thing it taught me is whatever happens will happen, and I'll be there, and I'll be
Yep.
there come shit or bleed. I will be there, and it'll either help or it
Yep.
will hurt. And I try not to hurt. I've done a lot
Right.
of hurt in my life, and I don't have to do it anymore. And that's
Yep.
the reality of it. And it's your choice. Every day you get up and make a
It's a
choice.
choice every day. Everything we do is our choice. So, but yeah, cool.
It all wraps back to food, baby. You
It
take a
does.
decision on how to cook it, and you're going to live
Yeah.
with the ramifications of how it turns out. And honestly,
Exactly.
I love having you on. I will be posting links to all your sites.
Oh, cool.
Definitely, I've featured your pictures up here so people can get to know the man behind. Folks, please like and
Yeah.
especially comment, even if you don't
Yeah.
like, and ask the
Yeah.
question. Explore it
Yeah.
more with us. Let's explore with us the joys of
Yeah.
cooking, the joys of
Yeah,
It's
just be
primal.
respectful. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. Respectful's, yeah, always. But
Yeah.
but the joys of it go all the way back to the caveman days. After the hunt and after the women have gathered the berries and fruits and nuts and whatever, they got around a bonfire. It was called a bonfire for a reason because they burned things in it,
Yeah.
and and they'd cook their food there too. And it's primal.
Good thing we've evolved a little bit since then.
Yes, we have. We have a turbo grill now. That does exist. Hey, but yeah, you close it out with any wise words that you have for the folks, and then I'll close us down.
My saying that ever since I started barbecuing is you can't steer a pulled pork. Go figure that one out.
I like what you just said. I got that. That's nice. With that being said,
Yeah.
folks, thanks for stopping by Kaiser's Castle and taking a seat on my big orange couch. I'm super happy that you guys were able to be here tonight and experience. This is like a normal chat with me and Uncle Pat. And you notice the give and take. That's what America is all about. And with that being said, I will slowly raise the drawbridge as you meander on out of Kaiser's Castle after stepping off the big orange couch with your coffee, tea, soda, and or adult libation. And with that being said, off out.